Yeah, which makes me not feel great.
Yeah. You waited too long, bitch. Amazon, you know what, though? Amazon Prime is still going on, right? And
Those prices haven't been hiked yet?
haven't been hiked yet. They're still discounted.
A lot of stuff happening.
Yeah, Xbox. The one comment was like, I'm starting to think AI was not like the greatest idea.
Welcome, wobbly wombats wave riding westerly towards wacky water sports. This is episode 64 of the Geekoid podcast. And, we took a week off. It was not planned. Jarrad came up and stayed with your boy for the weekend. We had our annual party. We were just in no condition to record the morning after. And you know what? We decided to take a week off. And you know what? What a week it has been. Rampocalypse continues to be the theme for 2026 as everyone across the board is hiking their prices, which is very disconcerting for all you folks looking to upgrade this year. But before we dig into that, do you want to start maybe with... how about Fox buying Roku for $22 billion?
Yeah, that's weird. I didn't look into it. I was hoping you did. So
yeah, I didn't.
I saw it and I went, oh, what?
So before we get into the actual deal itself, you got to kind of take a step back and look at the Fox Studios acquisition by Disney. So you had Fox and you had Fox Studios, which were like the same thing. And then they spun off the whole movie and TV show business to Disney, and then Fox News and the sports components of Fox kind of stayed as that parent company. Now with streaming heating up across the board, you have Disney with Hulu. That's become a major player. Then you have Amazon. Then you have YouTube and YouTube TV. And now that you have Paramount acquiring HBO, or Warner Brothers, I should say, creating another huge streaming player, Fox has kind of been left in the dust, so to speak. And so this is really a gambit at trying to get back into being relevant in this day and age. So I think it's a pretty shrewd business move for Fox. I don't have any objections. I think it'll just fly through regulatory approvals. But from what it sounds like, that they're going to keep the Roku brand, and they're still going to allow other services and whatnot to operate on Roku as they are today. So it seems like just really two bedfellows that we're in a position for needing to find each other.
That's a very interesting way of putting it. $22 billion, is that too much, or is that the right price? Like, I just wonder that. It sounds high to me, but maybe not.
I haven't looked at on any of the underlying financials for Roku, so I can't really speak to that. But when it comes to a gut check, I was like, that tracks. That seems to make sense. So I don't think it's too big or too small. It might be right sized. But
Goldilocks.
Yeah, Goldilocks kind of deal, which is weird when you have all sorts of crazy ass acquisitions happening across the tech space for hundreds of billions of dollars. This just seems kind of small and paltry by comparison. But let's move right along. You want to talk Xbox? So Asha, the new CEO of Xbox, has been in office for 100 days now. And, there've been some good things, and then some kind of dull moments. Xbox as a business has not had a great few years, and I think this is just a continuation of that. So they published a next 100 days Xbox reset letter missive
memo. Yeah.
And kind of talked about all the challenges that Xbox is facing, what they're hoping to do about it, how they're thinking about it, and then they just closed some studios and let some people off.
Yeah.
which is, that's what they were doing before. They're just going to keep on doing that. So, what was your biggest takeaway from this whole Xbox unveiling?
So to give people a little bit of context, what are the three studios that they're either closing? Some of them they're trying to spin off themselves so that maybe they can get acquired. So, like Ninja Theory, um, Double Fine, who did Psychonauts 2, and then the newest one, Kiln, which meh. Um, Gosh, where do I even go with this? So it was interesting going back to the showcase, and one of the preview video games was like a Hellblade 2, or successor or whatever. And
Senua's, I don't know how to pronounce it exactly. To
yeah, yeah, Revenge or whatever.
saga, story, revenge. Yeah.
Yeah. And then a few days later, the rumblings come about that three of these studios are going to get either axed, or they're going to, they're in negotiations to at least give their portfolio to another company to get bought. And one of them is Hellblade. And it was at first, well, I don't know. People are either saying, like, obviously this had to have been in talks before the showcase, and that maybe showing the preview was a way for the developer, the studio, to like show like, hey, we have something, and look how good it is right now. Very interesting way of doing it. Under the table, weird, sneaky. uh yeah. And I'll just ramble on. So then two of Xbox Game Studios big execs, the boss, Craig Duncan, and the chief of staff, Luis, was it O'Connor, I think, they decided that they're going to leave. They've been around for a very, very long time. So it's like, okay, this is getting weirder. And Satya, who is the big cheese of Microsoft, we've talked about how he wants like a 30%, profit and all this stuff. And I think he's just fed up or tired or whatever with the Xbox department, and the years that Phil had this great idea to do, game subscriptions and do Game Pass, and to bring all these studios and buy all these studios, spend millions and millions and billions and billions of dollars to help pave the way for this new subscription that's been around now for 9 years. And I think looking at like these executives that are leaving, this push on 30%, the downsizing of maybe the smaller developers, and then a huge focus on like Bethesda with Elder Scrolls and Fallout, that Game Pass is, and I think we even talked about this back in 2014. So here we are, over 10 years later, like it's not making the profit that Xbox and Microsoft were hoping it would. Phil Schiller was the champion for that until he was let go, along with other people, Sarah Bond, and now Asha taking over. So I really feel like the acquisitions were a cool move until it was too expensive, and Game Pass is not helping the developers and definitely not helping Xbox. And so what that entails for the future, I have no idea. So currently, Gears of War E-Day was supposed to be cross-platform. There are commercials that are still up that show like PS5 and whatnot. And then during this showcase, they were showing Gears of War as an Xbox exclusive. And you and I said that good game, looks great, but it doesn't look like if you're gonna go back to exclusives, this is gonna help the console sales. So, no, I don't know. I really don't know. I know that it looks like they're bleeding money, and so they are trying to, um, mitigate that, and I think they're gonna do it in a very aggressive way. That's why the memo is called "The Next 100 Days Xbox Reset."
Yeah, so I think there's one really big takeaway that's coming out of all not just the Xbox news, but also what's happening with Bungie over at Sony and a lot of the Ubisoft studios and closures that are happening there is that I think we were not we, but I think these mega publishers and corporations were overvaluing the game studios themselves. Just because you had one hit doesn't necessarily translate into a hit factory. And I think it's very different than the movie business where you have an artist who has all those followers and they have a brand and you don't really have that so much with game studios. I mean, sure, some game studios have a dedicated following and might even be more relevant when it comes to indie games, but as soon as you get acquired by a publisher and you get rolled into the quote unquote machine, um I feel like you lose some key personnel. The executives start making creative decisions where they shouldn't, and really, it turns into this just big trundling abomination that is no longer able to deliver the types of hits that kind of the studio is known for. So I think the days of these multi-billion-dollar game studio acquisitions is absolutely over. Yeah, we might be seeing acquisitions happen, but they're going to be probably on a smaller scale and probably more indie-sized studios. And so it kind of leaves uh, all these other game studios that are no longer considered indie because they're too big, but they're too big to be really acquired or purchased by a publisher. They're kind of in this weird middling period of existence now, and I don't know what that means for them in the long term or in the health of their companies. So
We've talked about this ad nauseum, that, the days of, like, a company coming out with a game every 2 years, if not, gosh, wouldn't it be even great if it was every 5 years? And so you're missing generations of people, or you only have that one game for that one console, and then it's gonna take 10 plus years for the next game, where I'm sure Satya, who's probably giving pressure to, like I said, Bethesda and some of the bigger companies of like, okay, you need to ramp up Elder Scrolls and Fallout and Halo a lot faster. And it's like, well, we've been on this like 8 to 10 year track, and it's like, well, we can't afford that either.
yeah, and I think they were really looking to AI to help accelerate these game development cycles, but I don't think we've gotten to that point yet where we're really seeing a huge change. I mean, you look at EA that was taken private by Jared Kushner and the Saudis and whatnot, and I haven't heard anything out of them. Like no huge announcements, or maybe they're just cooking, but nothing, man. So
Yeah,
I don't know. But conversely, uh, I tuned into the Epic State of Unreal because they just had their developer conference in Chicago last week. And man, did they show off some really, really cool stuff. Not necessarily just for games, but also for TV and film and just kind of advertising and creative production that kind of merges some of the processes and the way you interact with Unreal and then taps out to some of these AI engines and just like, oh yeah, you have a kind of a block out and then you take a style and then you just have the AI turn it into a full-blown video. And I was absolutely floored by what they were showing off, and I cannot wait to get my hands on it. So the
nice.
tools are coming. We're still not there yet. Um, But yeah,
And at the same time this is going on, like, hardware is increasing. So making it even harder for consumers to buy, these companies' products.
well, if you're a game
So
studio too, everybody is working on the highest end machines, like that you can really buy. And so now, if you spin up a new studio or you hire a bunch of employees, the cost of the hardware that you're providing them has not it's gone up by a material amount of money. Like for a full studio build out, we're talking millions upon millions of dollars. So it's just all of these little confounding factors combine and add up to something that is really causing the industry to take a look at itself. So,
yeah, it's really bad.
but
At the same time, Xbox is rumored to make a Halo movie after they did 2 seasons that you and I liked, but nobody else liked, and it was cheese. It was pure cheese, and
but it was good
but they're
action.
like, well, we can do a movie. Nintendo's doing it. Maybe that'll help us. Okay.
So the Halo movie has been one of the longest kind of talked about, rumored, like back and forth things in existence. So I believe they had originally kind of tagged Steven Spielberg to be associated with it to produce, and then there was, I believe, talks of Neil Blomkamp of District 9 fame and a few other things. And I know Christopher Nolan actually like was really excited to do a Halo movie. Like it's one of his favorite franchises of all time. And you have all these major stars and like who's actually going to pull this project off, because it's going to cost a fortune to make, and Microsoft has a very strong vested interest of getting the Halo franchise back on track. But I guess Denis Villeneuve is like the last person to be talked about in maybe a director position.
I
uh
guess if you watch Dune, maybe I could see that. If I squint my eyes just right. And I heard, in the Dune 3 movie, it starts with like this epic war that is reminiscent of like World War II and like Saving Private Ryan, but, in the desert, very alien, very space, but it has like a very realistic, if you could make sci-fi fantasy realistic, like I guess he's done like the penultimate greatest job. So maybe.
yeah, and something else that popped up on the feed is that uh, they were looking at Sydney Sweeney to play Cortana, because apparently she's a big Halo fan back in her early days, and
Hey, like 28.
I,
That's
so,
awesome. Hey, you go, girl.
that would be an interesting casting choice. But yeah, maybe we stop beating around the bush because we've alluded to it several times already. But man,
Prices.
the Rampocalypse. Xbox is announcing a price hike. Apple is already jacked up prices
As of today.
as of today. And who else? I mean, Sony's probably like they're already j- raising prices, as is Nintendo. I don't
Yeah,
know
right
anything
now
that is
Nintendo's
untouched.
the cheapest one, and like
Oh, and Steam Machine prices finally came out. 1,050 for the 512 hard drive, or 1349 for a 2 terabyte. Terabyte? Terabyte.
Terabyte. Yes, light bright.
Just a
Yeah,
thousand times brighter.
so Valve's like, okay, we're gonna bring it out, but we're gonna bring it out due to these hardware inflations, and yeah, this is a machine that was supposed to be a beginner entry level kind of PC console hybrid. It was built with hardware that is very much of that era of like a late 25, and now we're
I would
talking
argue
prices for
even older
mediocre.
than that. I'm hearing like the CPU is like a 2-year-old tablet CPU, which makes me shudder. And hearing some of the firsthand kind of performance reviews, not even hitting 30 FPS on some games at like 1080p, which is really, really not a good look. So I don't know how Valve is going to navigate this. They're in a terrible position, and people are blasting Gabe Newell, the founder CEO, saying, "Oh, Mr. Moneybags just wants more money," and I'm like, you know what?
No, I don't think so. Because
It's
they raised the price on Steam Deck $300.
well, that's what people are saying. It's like he's just raising the price, but also they weren't going to sell this at a loss like Sony and Xbox do. So like, they're not running a charity over there at Valve. So
No, but some reports have said like their margins are extremely small, like teeny tiny of like what they were hoping, to have back in January.
yeah, I mean my computer is currently acting up. That's why I had to restart it because the water block on my CPU is all fudged up, and I need to do a cleaning cycle and maybe even replace it. But it has me freaked out because I'm like, oh my god, if this doesn't work, like, do I need to get some new components? And I don't want to buy new components.
Yeah, yeah. Like I'm so fortunate that I got this MacBook Air for Christmas, the M4 version, and then right before that, I got the Switch 2. And even with its price increase, like, folks, if you want to do video games, like right now, nothing is cheap except for the Switch 2. And you better, and it's only $50, but that's also $50. So do it before September
Yeah, I
because
honestly
everything's nuts, man.
I honestly think we're going to see a bit of a probably constriction on consumer spending when it comes to these types of goods. I just don't know how people can afford it anymore. I mean, like
No.
it feels like
Yeah.
we just had a wild swing from the MacBook Neo coming out just a few months ago at like a just jaw-droppingly small price of $599, and now game consoles are easily passing $1,000, and like you blink and the market has just shifted enormously. So even the MacBook Neo is going up in price.
Yeah. It just went up. It's now $700.
Ugh.
So it's $100 more than what it was. And that is, let me see if I look at specs here.
I'm really scared to think about what the M6 MacBook Pros are going to be at the end of this year. I'm terrified.
They raised prices on those too.
Well,
And
they haven't even been
they're
announced yet. They can't.
Oh, you're talking the M6?
Yeah, the future.
Maybe this is them at least keeping the price so that here. So if I go to, let's do MacBook Pros and then go to, God, it starts at $2,000. Oh, hit the shop button. 14-inch is now $2,000 and the 16-inch is that say $3,000? Oh, what? No. No.
That's a lot of dog bones.
Let's just go to the 16-inch because that's nuts. Pick a color, sure, whatever.
Yeah, you're going to be dropping 10 grand on a laptop before long.
Standard display, no nano texture. So the M5 Pro chip is $3,000. And if you want the M5 Max chip, it's $4,400.
You better go couch surfing and find some more quarters, everybody.
Yeah, I mean, Amazon is still doing their Prime Day sale, I believe, and their inventory, I don't think, has been affected. So if you're looking at any Macs,
Now's the time. Block in
do
that
it
savings.
before
I might
Amazon's
do that for Rachel's
gotta
birthday
adjust.
present.
MacBook Air, let's say. So the 13-inch is now, it used to be, I think it was like $1,000 or maybe $1,100. It's now $1,300 for the 13-inch or $1,500 for the 15-inch. Let's do the 15-inch just because why not? Pick a color. 16 gigs. Let's just keep it at 16. Let's do 512 as your base. Right in.
This is making me really appreciate
So $1,500.
how much of a hoarder I was a couple years ago. So like I had like a $10 Best Buy gift card. I was like, oh yeah, I don't have anything to spend it on, but it's going to expire, so I'm just going to buy an extra 2 terabytes of memory for an SSD.
Yeah.
And I literally have hard drives sitting in boxes unopened, and I just it provides me just a modicum of warmth and comfort at night when I sleep, knowing that I have RAM and I don't have to scramble to penny pinch to buy more.
Curious about the Mac Mini, because that was the other one that everybody was so excited about. So this is with the M4 chip, not even the M5, and it went up in price to $800. And that is 10-core CPU, 10-core GPU, 16-core neural. The M4 Pro chip, golly, jeepers, went up to $1,600 for the Mac Mini. And this was everybody was so excited, including us. So yeah, if you went to the higher core 14-core CPU and the higher 20-core GPU, that's another $200. 24 is included, gigabytes. 512 is included. Regular gigabit Ethernet.
All right. Well,
No,
we can play with the price configurator all day,
$1,800.
but I feel like our audience is just hearing words, and some numbers.
I don't think so. I think they're fine. I think we're doing some of the heavy lifting for them. But $1,800 for like a decent Mac Mini, that's nuts, man.
Yeah, yeah.
So those are
Between the
huge.
supply crunch from everybody going out and wanting to spin up an OpenClaw instance to the RAM shortage, it's just Mac Minis, Macs in general, just.
This is like America during the Dust Bowl era. And if nobody remembers that or knows about it, it was a time when the government just gave out plots of land. You got a ticket or a voucher or whatever. And then it was just this drove of people from the East Coast into the Midwest. But nobody knew how to farm. They were all like pre-industrialist, workers. And so they stripped all the soil off of the land, and then there was no good soil. So then it became like this weird dust bowl, a desert. And then the United States had to like hire a bunch of people to then teach them how to grow and farm and till correctly. But for a time period, everybody was like, we're going to do this. And then they destroyed it. And I'm not saying this is a destruction per se, but this is like a drought, a desert, until people can figure out how to fix this. And I don't know how this is going to get fixed, because just a report on more AI centers being built at this. AI centers have been around forever. That's how we have the internet, email, and all that, or data centers, sorry. But with the AI boom, and then all of these select few Illuminati companies just buying up everything to then mass produce these multi-million-dollar, more, bigger data centers, it's really crushing everything else.
Yeah, it's we need to increase production, and we're trying to. Everybody's scrambling to increase production, but here's the thing. It'll take you 2 to 3 years to get a memory plant online. And that's a long ways away. So, and here's the thing. The demand is not going to decrease. If anything, it is only going to increase. The saving grace for us gamers, I think, might be the hyperscalers and people spinning up these data centers running into power constraints. So then they won't be able to use all the memory and RAM that is being produced, which maybe finally prices will come down a little bit. But like I said, that's probably still a couple of years away.
There are some states that are looking into that right now, who haven't just sign the contracts because it was it brings the state a lot of money. Where they're like they're in negotiations with some of these companies to restrict, like you're only gonna get 100 watts instead of 200 watts um, per day or per hour or whatever it is, to also mitigate a little bit of that.
Yeah. So we'll see. I don't think I do firmly believe the free market should sort it all out. I don't think states should be saying this data center gets this much power, et cetera, et cetera. I'm really a fan of these data centers standing up behind the meter. So getting their own power that's not even connected to the grid. So a lot of times you see that happening on U.S. kind of government land. So on military bases that have a lot of vacant space, like you can see data centers and nuclear power plants being installed there. But our ability to create nuclear power has been so kneecapped for so many decades. I know there's a lot of really kick-ass companies that are spinning up and trying to accelerate and get to market as quickly as possible, but it's still you can't teleport. It takes time. It takes logistics. It takes supply chains to make all this stuff happen. So, but at
While
least
also
it's
while
happening.
also being like, respectful to the citizens, the people who are in those states and in those cities, of like, a healthy balance between, what the data centers want to get, what the government can receive, and how it will affect in a minimal way populations around those data centers and those, you know, waterways, electricity, diesel fuel, all that kind of stuff.
So I had a thought, and I don't know why this isn't being explored more thoroughly. Is like all these companies are trying to spin up these data centers, and they look like just a bunch of cardboard boxes slapped together with paint on top. Like they're really not attractive at all. But I'm like, what if we made them like a destination? You know what needs a lot of heat? I mean, the data center puts off a lot of heat. It needs to be cooled. You know what? You know what needs heating? A water park. So what if you put a water park on top of a data center and use all the heat generated by these GPUs to warm the pool?
Well, the catch would be that you have, 20 to 50 diesel engines blowing, pollutants up
Well,
into the water park. And so then
the
everybody's
power
having a great
generators
time
don't
and
have to be on site.
a
I mean,
nice warm
they can be
nice warm pool, but then you're also like, why do my lungs feel so weird?
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, maybe nuclear gets involved, and you can have some three-eyed fish swimming around in the lagoon as you
Like
kind of
Simpsons.
yeah, exactly. So Elon Musk et al. Food for thought. But enough about data centers. Let's talk to something a little bit more lighthearted. The first half of the year is coming to a close. We're literally at the end of month 6, June, and it's been a good half a year for games, and the second
Good
half of
God,
the
yeah.
year is looking just as great. I mean, Capcom has really been crushing it with Pragmata, Resident Evil 9, Resident Evil remakes. Do you have a favorite from the first half of the year?
Yeah, the one that just came out, Mina the Hollower. Like, I really, really want to buy that game. Like, it has kind of this. I can't remember we talked about them earlier, but I can't remember the studio. But they're very focused on making games that have that Nintendo, Super Nintendo, or like Mina the Hollower, like a GBA look, but they are, you've got technology and in software of 2026. So the look is one thing. The gameplay is very, very advanced. And Mina the Hollower is absolutely maybe way more than I should dip my toe into. It is more of like an Erik hardcore open world adventure game. But I like the aesthetics, and the aesthetics alone kind of sell me on it. But it also looks like a game I'll never finish. But I really want to at least experience it. It's very unique, and it's got a 10 out of 10. Resident Evil Requiem like blew the doors off on so many reviewers. It got a 10 out of 10. Um, Forza Horizon 6 got a 10 out of 10, and a few others. This year has been more 10 out of 10s than I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, that's a great call out.
And then, I have in the notes, and then GTA is looming in the distance, and it's going to get a 10 out of 10. I mean, like,
Oh,
come
I
on,
don't think it's a
folks.
foregone conclusion. I mean, that. So I saw some really interesting
Somebody's
stats.
just going to be a poop and be like 9 out of 10. Just one tick away.
They've spent so much money, $2 billion building this game. That is more than the Burj Khalifa, the massive skyscraper in Dubai. Like, you could have a skyscraper or you could have a PS5 game. It's kind of crazy to think about the investments that go into this. So far the game looks incredible. I'm sure it will rate very highly. I mean, just between the delays and they know what they're doing. But 10 out of 10, that's a high mark. I think it'll hit. I do, but I don't think it's a foregone conclusion.
Yeah. And then, let's not forget, Indiana Jones was last year. I was going to say that, but that was last year. However, great game. Very late last year. But 007 also getting just huge positive reviews.
I got to give a shout out for Marathon.
Yeah, dude, Marathon. I pray that with everything going on with these, everybody tightening their belts, that Marathon and Bungie keep going, because I think Marathon is the most unique and special extraction shooter that's ever been made, period.
I really hope more people give it a try. So over the weekend, you met my friend Paul. We had a blast. So shout out Paul. Thanks for coming to the party. But Marathon wasn't even on his radar, and he played the original Marathon from Bungie 26 years ago. And I was like, dude, you got to check it out. And so he went home that night from the party, bought it, installed it, and he texted me. He's like, holy crap, dude, this is amazing. This is like the best shooter I've ever played. And
it's so high level. And, they're part of, I think, midway through their season 2, they're going to start trickling in a few things to kind of bring other players into the game, because they need it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, there is a lot more PvE stuff that they're rolling out. So Cryo Archive, which is like the final map, they're creating a PvE only version coming out in July, which will be really cool. Because I've had some success with Cryo, but I haven't been able to go through all the vaults and go against the final boss. Like the loot will be nerfed, I believe, so that you can't just run it and just get the best loot, which makes total sense. But still, the ability to learn it and to learn the mechanics, because I feel like that's one of the things that you could do in Destiny, is you could do the raids and then you would learn, you'd play it, you would fail a number of times, but eventually you'd learn the mechanics and then you'd get to practice and get the execution down. But as someone who doesn't play a whole hell of a lot because I have a lot of competing priorities, I've never even made it to the final boss. But still, I would like the experience of going up against it and even failing. That'd be cool too. But I haven't even gotten to that point because it's so hard unless you are with a group of people that are just kind of armed to the teeth and know exactly what they're doing. So I think this will be a good thing for getting players like me who aren't super hardcore, but at the same time, I don't want to water down the PvP experience, because that's the bread and butter of the entire game. And as soon as I repair my PC, you bet your ass I'm going to be jumping right back into it.
Yeah. What was something random I heard, was it earlier today, I think, or maybe it was last night. There's some special level that only comes about during you have a certain time frame, and it's the weekend, and you have to be.
So that's Cryo Archive.
and you have to have like 2,000 whatever points of loot or gear, whatever you guys call it.
The requirements to get into it
It's
aren't
really high risk, high
well.
reward,
It's high
because you
risk.
could also lose all that.
Well, every time you start a match, there's a high probability you're going to lose everything you have. But yeah, I would say Marathon might be a contender for year of the game.
I think so too.
Game of the year for me.
Yeah. And other folks who were in this video that I watched, they also touted it. They were like, listen, I know it probably won't be, but if I'm in that group of 20, I'm going to at least say something. Let it be a runner-up, honorable mention, whatever, but I'm going to praise it.
I do really think it's a shame that Bungie and Sony aren't meshing as well as I think everybody would have hoped after the acquisition. And I know that Bungie just had a bunch of layoffs, I think either yesterday or today. And I saw something
Destiny
like
2 RIP.
Yeah, 400 people were in that layoff call, allegedly.
And that was a big letdown for a lot of people because
yeah,
for whatever you want to say about Destiny 2, it had a good, stable player base. And again, tightening belts or whatever, they decided that that's one of the games that needs to go, which is a real shame. It's a good game.
Yeah. So I to all our friends at Bungie, I hope you're doing okay. We're here for you. We love you. But let's talk movies, because you know what? Supergirl came out, and
this isn't going to be the greatest episode.
There's a lot of downers, man. I was so amped and excited to record because it's been a couple weeks. Whew.
It's the sign of the times, or what's going on. As far as this movie goes, guess what reviewers, and it was multiple reviewers. Sometimes I see one say one thing like He-Man, and then another say another about He-Man. This one, pretty much everybody is got the same opinion that it's not a good movie. And I was like, that stinks. The cinematography, the
such a
prosthetics, the CG, like it's all so good. But like a really good example was Lobo, who is Jason Momoa. And I was like, oh, Lobo, one of like penultimate, almost like a Deadpool, but galactic, anti-hero for DC. And multiple people were like, he didn't need to be in there. He does not push the story. He doesn't move the story. Not at all. He's just there for like, hopefully to make some money, I guess, for the studio.
Man. What a letdown.
And the way that they try to tell the story of Crypto and Kara, it's a little segmented. They jump back and forth between present and past instead of being a little bit more linear. And a lot of reviewers were like, listen, we've seen that before, but they did not execute that story arc very well. And by the end of the story, like, Kara's still the same way she is. So is this like just a gigantic intro for her character in other movies later, like Man of Tomorrow or whatever? Maybe. But right now, not a great movie. No good story arc. No good like what's happening at the end. You start or you finish where you start. Other than Crypto gets saved, of course.
All right. Well, there you have it. Supergirl not hitting as well as some people would like. But you know what? It sounds like Toy Story 5 is crushing it.
Yeah. Hard. I can't believe after all these years.
After all these decades, Pixar is still cranking out hit after hit.
But it's like Minions, and it's like gosh, what was the other one? Like Kung Fu Panda. Like you have almost like a cult following, and then those are family films that just you can move from like us to now having kids. So I guess that works. And
Man,
Toy
I am so
Story, and
excited. I have such a long backlog of DreamWorks and Pixar animated movies to watch once my
mm,
kids come of age. It's like
see, yeah.
I'm so
So
like we're
like,
not quite there yet. Like we tried watching Cars the other night and it just didn't capture the attention as well as one would have hoped. So, but soon, I feel.
so those work. Those work for the audiences right now,
Yeah.
and they're not great stories. Mario wasn't a great story, but you know what? It was gangbusters. Like everybody just loved it. Same for probably Minions and Monsters that's going to be coming out soon. I love Cthulhu, so to see a baby Cthulhu just melts my heart.
Yeah.
And I do like the Minions. They're just so fun and slapsticky. So the story doesn't have to be great. It just has to be fun and cute. And right now that's kind of where we're at. A little retro with Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter.
Yeah. But I do got to say, the hype machine for Spider-Man
Is off the wall chain.
it
Off
is
the wall.
it is on kind of in full gear. So we now know what Sadie Sink's role is. Did I get that name right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Do you want to spoiler it?
I don't know. Like they all said it was Jean Grey, but is that confirmed or what is she doing?
Oh, I could have sworn that that was what it was.
I don't. If that was confirmed, like that's awesome, and I think she'll be like the coolest Jean Grey for this new era and new generation.
Yeah. So I mean,
Coming off of
obviously
Stranger
they're
Things.
starting those series of kind of characters at a very young age. So I think they're implying that this next mutant arc is going to be quite long lived, if you will. Which has me excited. Like I'm
I
ready
think
to get
that's the
get
new
over the
path they need to
Avengers
go.
and get
Yeah.
into mutants and X-Men.
Yeah, there's a whole 20, 50, 60 years of just great stories that they could really, like pull taffy and just stretch out for the next 20 years.
Yeah. So I guess it's not confirmed that she's actually Jean Grey, but
Okay.
everything is pointing towards that. Also, it looks like we have a really scary Hulk in there as well.
Yeah, at the very end of the trailer, they just kind of like 2 seconds. It's there.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, hey, check him out."
Yeah. So,
But she was not in that trailer. So they are keeping her like
yeah, very, very, very close to the chest.
yeah. There is a rumor this might be Tom Holland's last. We'll see. I'm sure if Sony and Marvel give Tom Holland enough money, he will absolutely do a fourth one. But there is
This
a
is the
rumor
fourth one, isn't it?
No, this is the third one.
No,
Don't think of Avengers Civil War.
I'm not. I could.
Nope. This is 3, baby.
All right.
New Day, Homecoming,
No, Spider-Man into this. No, that's Homecoming, No Way Home, Brand New Day.
Brand New Day. That's it. So you got Civil War, and then you got the two or three cartoons, which aren't
Okay.
him. Those are Morales.
Fine.
Nerds. This is a nerd podcast, but I'm still like, oh, I'm really nerding out here. No, baby, that's Morales.
All right. Well, I think
It looks good. I mean, from the
I'm
trailers,
going to find a way to see it in theaters because it just all
Yeah.
the different ways that they're kind of introducing a bunch of different characters. Like it seems to be like this.
And I can't tell who the bad guy is. You've got Scorpion. You've got
There's
the
like
Hand.
5 bad guys.
I know. I guess Tombstone might be in there. But then I guess there's I think I saw in the trailer there was a guy with a hood and he could swap between people and talk to Spider-Man while like other people were going around, which sounds kind of mutinous, X-Men-y. So they're keeping that one close to the chest. Who's the bad guy?
Everybody. All right. Well, I think that's gonna wrap it for this episode of the Geekoid podcast. I would highly recommend you subscribe, go to geekoid.com. That's GEEQOID.com. Find us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, X. We're not super active, but that might be changing in the very near future. Also, there's a newsletter coming this Friday.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. So maybe as this drops, there will also be a newsletter.
You just say hi.
just hi. Uh, and I'm really close to having that new branding done. I just need a day.
Can you use your fancy M1? Which thank God you have an M1. Now I'm jealous because I was holding out. But can you use your iPad Pro to do some of that kind of stuff, or because you're heavily using data centers and AI, you're like, no, I can't do that.
No, I can totally do that. Um it's
Old
I
school
just
with
like
the pencil.
having a mouse and
You could use your Pencil Pro.
yeah,
Pencil Pro.
the tablet, it doesn't. maybe we can
You're
get
not that kind of
maybe we
artist.
can get into it in
That's
another
more
episode.
my style of like sitting on a couch with a tablet and then doing
Because here's the
sketches
thing,
and whatever.
I'm not doing those kinds of edits. I'm doing
You're
really
more
large sweeping, like, take something, make a tweet, put it into a prompt, and I have like 4 screens open, and I'm moving shit around all over the place.
yeah, that'd be more like me and Insiel
Yeah,
of what I'm talking about. Yeah.
different. Sometimes I do that. It's just I'm not at that phase right now.
Different strokes
Oh God, I saw this one coming a mile away.
for different folks as I whoosh around a pen in the air.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. Lots of fun things coming.
Yes,
And
absolutely. Something
we'll
positive.
see
We
you.
are a positive little spark in the darkness.
All right. We'll see you next week.
Bye. Geek out.
Geek out.
End of transmission.